All the big calls on all the big races. Welcome back. It's time for another edition of What a Shout, the Racing Post flagship feature weekend show. Dave Orton, delighted to be back in the seat. We film on a Thursday. Plenty of content coming your way. What a weekend it is. The flat is now in full swing. If you're in any doubt about that, check out the Lockinge card at Newbury on Saturday. It's a belter as ever. We also pop to Newmarket and have a look at some of the best races there for you. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, this is a like, subscribe, please comment and share shows. Do a thumbs up, then you can get your tips in below. We love to read those as the weekends go over. Right, okay, and before I go down the panel, and a stellar one it is for you, and show you what guest we've got on the show, have you seen the free bets offer that we've been running every week? Over £200 worth of free bets. Go and take advantage of that. Right, shall we, without further ado, go down the panel. Robbie Wilders joins us.
You haven't got anything to roll Orton?
No, not really.
Doesn't really work, does it?
No, I see you've got your lime on, which means you're taking it particularly seriously today.
I am, yeah, but I'm annoyed. My flatmate shrunk this in the wash, so I have to tuck it in, otherwise it really rides up.
Does it? All
so
right,
that's not a problem when I'm sat down. But
if only they could see the shorts that you're wearing under that desk.
Today.
All right, great to have you back.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It's 3 in a row.
There you go, absolutely. Your stock is rising. And Anti-Postman, don't tell us what it is, but you've obviously had a good look at Lockinge.
Had a right gold look at had a good look at Lockinge a few weeks ago, had a good look at the London Gold Cup early in the week. So
everyone
2 races I'm very much looking forward to on Saturday.
Now you'll see it's just me and Robbie in the studio, and his legion of followers have been extremely worried this week, because if you read the Weekender column, and indeed my betting week and all that sort of stuff, you might have thought that Paul Kealy would no longer be with us. But thank goodness, via Skype, here he is. You can't keep a good man down. Keels, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate. Just about. I had a bit of a scare, bit of a chest pain action when I was in Mallorca playing golf early hours of Sunday morning. But I've had a couple of ECGs, one there, one here. Not shown anything. Blood pressure's a bit high, but is that a surprise?
Well, not at all. Listen, from one man to another.
Is that an Easter egg in the background, Kills?
It might well be, mate.
Yeah, it looks like one, yeah.
Hang on a minute.
There's his golf bag. What else have we got? We've got a canary in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Absolutely. Don't eat that. Your blood pressure will go through the roof.
I was going to say, a couple of weeks before you tuck into that.
That is the weirdest Easter egg I think I've ever seen. I wonder
is it like shaped like a bell?
You'd probably think it was some sort of booby prize, wouldn't you? Unlike the show coming your way today, everyone's scouring around Keels, and great to have him on, great to have Robbie with us, great to have you for what's coming up. So, 5 big race previews coming your way, Group 1 action, Group 1 guest as well. It has been a millennia since we tried to get Tom Marquand on this show. We've got him. He joins us during his busy schedule to give you a really good interview. Do not miss that. All of his top rides and some thoughts about the career so far and what might be to come. And then we'll give you those all-important weekend naps. Right then, a real treat for you this weekend. Group 1 action coming your way, not only on the track. It's been a long time coming, but finally, What a Shout get their talons into Tom Marquand, who takes time out of his busy schedule to join us this week. Tom, welcome along.
Morning. Yeah, all right.
Look, there is a nervous laugh there, Tom, because you're probably not sure what's coming. Your wife has been on this show, of course. And viewers, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, Tom has only recently, believe it or not, turned 25. And I sort of say that with a sort of smile, Tom, because you carry yourself a lot differently. It seems a long time ago since you started in 2014. Champion Apprentice, of course, 2015. I think 8 top-level wins I counted. I might be wrong. 6 European-wise as well. Knocking on the door for championships. It's all going rather well.
Yeah, I think you've done me dirty there out of a few Group 1 winners. No, but look, I'm pretty sure it's 11, unless I've missed count. I might be wrong as well.
Listen, if you knew what was working with me in the gallery here, it probably is 11. They're all sort of shaking their heads and sticking fingers up and all sorts of things. Well, I think that's counting. But all right, fair enough. Let's go with 11. The amount of jockeys that come on this show and go, Dave, what have you done to me, man?
No, I think I'd be pretty proud with 8 anyway, so I don't think you've done me too bad. But,
Well, should we concentrate on some of them, Tom? Right, let's have a look. Obviously, look, you broke through classic-wise with Galileo Chrome. That was for Joseph O'Brien. Never forget that day. Of course, we had that very sticky COVID year, which was, we were laughing just before we came on. I said, remind me your first Royal Ascot winner. And it was in 2020, wasn't it? Who Dares Wins for Alan King, which seems like, I don't know, I'm not being funny, but I'm surprised that it took you that long.
Yeah, for whatever way it fell, I'd actually ridden. Yeah, I'd had 2 Group 1 winners, obviously down in Australia before I ever even managed to get a Royal Ascot winner on the board, which is probably a bit in reverse to what most people managed to do. But Holly rode her first winner on. It was either Wednesday or Thursday on the Scarlet Dragon for Henry Ponsonby and Alan King, and then I think it was the last race on the Saturday. I managed to pinch one more for the same pair aboard Who Dares Win. So it was a great week, and look, fitting for it to have fallen that way, I guess. And yeah, it took a bit longer than I thought it might, but it was great in the end.
That was a Royal Ascot of first. I remember Kevin Stott rode his double there. I remember Thor Hammer Hansen broke through. It was just like one of those changing of the guard, in the saddle years. And of course, you mentioned at the COVID years, you mentioned Australia. There's our link then. It was when we were all sitting on our hands here, Tom, that you went through the unbelievable quarantine to get down there and ride a Dave who was just magnificent down there. And I don't know if other people call you this, Tom, but here at Racing Post Towers, we call you Tom the Pom.
I don't tell the Australians. No, it was a fantastic opportunity that obviously came probably towards the start of my relationship with William Haggis and Maureen and Somerville Lodge, and look, I was absolutely blessed with the timing of it all because everything just fell right with COVID, and obviously it was a pretty turbulent time. So look, I got unlucky. When I got down there, I actually got kicked at the start of that and broke my fibula head and bits like that. So there was complications that were going past COVID as well. So it wasn't an easy trip by any means, but it was fantastic. And I mean, Dave, he just look, he's obviously shown subsequently how much of a legend he is and how good a racehorse he was too. So great to be a part of that journey and I was very fortunate with timing.
Well, we've had William Haggis on this show a couple of times, Tom, and he speaks about his affinity, obviously, with that horse. I always say to William, can we talk about a Dave? Because, social media loves that horse, Racing Land loves that horse, but he was very effusive in his praise for you, Tom. And, of course, you talk about complications. You, of course, had the nasty fall when you went down under this year before riding to Dubai Honour. You came back for that. And, again, a horse that had his ground and you saw them off in style. I'd been back a week and had punched in a couple of winners on the Friday night and had literally spent the whole week just, because obviously when you go back it's tough, but you book horses for preparations there. So was booking rides for like the 6 weeks, 2 months ahead, getting excited, booking some really nice Group 1 horses, or what we hope were Group 1 horses, and then obviously got put on the deck, dislocated all my sternum and collarbone, and it was a mess. So sitting on the sidelines watching him win a Group 1, and actually I missed an Australian Group 1 winner as well aboard Autorius, was pretty tough. Ultimately, I fought pretty hard to get back for the big day, and it paid off, and he was spectacular. So again, unlucky but extremely lucky at the same time. I was meant to be off for 8 weeks, managed to get back in 5 and pinched a biggie, so was something to sort of leave me with a bit of a smile on my face at the end of all of it in the end. You've got some brilliant, let's just stick with that down under at a connection there. John O'Shea, of course, you ride with. Annabelle Neesham was going to use you a lot, wasn't she? I saw you ride a winner at Canterbury, believe it or not. Well, I was on my phone waiting for one of these shows one Friday. I saw you ride one home there and beating J Mack in one of those. You have got some great ties down there. They absolutely love you, don't they, Tom? Is it going to be an annual trip now, that?
Yeah, look, I see no reason why not to be. It's been a fantastic place for me. As I say, it afforded me that first opportunity aboard a Dave. I'd already been down there 3 times by then, and the reason William put me on him was because I'd been heading down there and had some experience of Australian racing. So, look, the only the only negatives I've ever had from Australia are the falls I've had, which have been unfortunate. But everything else has been fantastic, and they've got great racing at that time of year, fantastic prize money, and as a jockey, I personally feel like I've taken a lot away from it. So look, there's no reason in my mind to not go back again and just make a bit of a habit of it and try and get on some good horses.
Okay, all right, Tom. That is what's happened so far. Of course, we just had Chester, of course. Always great to get back up there. Wasn't it amazing? We're talking about old favourites. Hamish coming back in style. A lot of people are talking about the strike rate, the Haggis stable being a little bit below form. Nah, can't keep a good man down, can you? And Hamish came back better than ever.
Yeah, look, he's almost probably a Dave-esque in the yard. Obviously, he's not had his deserved Group 1 that hopefully he'll get one day before he's done. But he was awesome. Like to me, he felt better than ever. Maureen rides him out pretty much every day when she doesn't ride him. Andrew Tinkler, obviously ex-jump jockey, rides him out the rest of the time, and everybody loves him. And I probably squeezed back a bit earlier from the previous week's injury just to probably ride him, because I had my eyes on from a good way out for Chester, and the rain was coming, and look, it was worth it again. So he was great, and it gave me a lot of pleasure winning on a horse like that, because you know how much it means to the whole team at home because of the affinity they have for him.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I can only imagine that. An interesting view as they get into the inside of these jockeys, the top jockeys. They look for where these rides are, plot where they're going to go. Absolutely fantastic narrative. We're just warming up then, Tom. We've had the first couple of classics, of course. We're not too far away from the Derby. You've knocked on the door there, but it's a big week up at York, of course. It's Dante week, as we call it. You were off the mark with old Kivahar winning the race for the second time. You've got an interesting book of rides. In fact, quite a tricky book of rides. We are filming this video, as I should say, on Thursday, so if you're able to watch this while Tom is zooming back up there for a York book. Tricky book, according to the market, on Friday. Anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Yeah, look, to be honest, it's extremely competitive racing, and the ground was pretty sharp yesterday. Well, not pretty sharp, it was beautiful, but it was fast ground, and obviously we've not had that yet this year, and I had Kel come out yesterday because it was too fast. So it'll be interesting with them tomorrow what sort of comes to fruition, because I see they're due a few showers, so that actually might sort of flip and change my luck throughout the day. Yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Yes, Aramaker's an interesting horse, isn't he, in the 445. He's been gelded since we last saw him. You get the feeling he's one of these Haggis projects that's got more to come.
Yeah, no, he's one of the interesting ones of the day, probably. You know, he won up at York previously. He's a lovely big horse, but obviously has had an interrupted run with injuries. So look, he's a horse that looked extremely nice when he won there, and poked his head into a couple of pretty competitive races, and looked like we were going to be sort of going somewhere fun with him, and then just got halted with that. So this is his reintroduction. I'd imagine, you know, they won't fully turn the screw with him because you're coming back from a layoff. So this will be a run back in. Hopefully he can go in and go really well, and we can start sort of getting back to where we left off with him.
Yeah, okay. Watch the market with him then, guys, and if a little bit of rain comes and all that sort of stuff. Shall we zoom in on Saturday then? It's Lockinge Day at Newbury. Last year this was a strong start for you because you won the first two races, didn't you? Let's get into it then, shall we, Tom? Shall we? In the 150, which is the Carnarvon Stakes, usually a stepping stone for Commonwealth Cup glory. We've got Noble Style, who's heading the market in there. We saw what he did in the Guineas, but you ride quite an interesting one, who went to the Commonwealth Cup trial at Ascot. He's called Rousing Encore. Don't have your association with Richard Fahey down too much. He was getting home late. I guess you'll be looking to stoke him up from stall 4.
Yeah, look, as you say, you've got Noble Stars there. Showing pretty not a bad horse. So it's a tough enough race. But yeah, I've ridden, actually, funnily enough, the only other horse I've ridden for Richard Fahey was a Sprinter 2. So look, as you said, ran well at Ascot, and because obviously I have no idea what form he's in apart from what he's done in the races, so I can't shed too much light. But yeah, look, starts the day off to hopefully a pretty good way, and it's an exciting day for the horses that I've got to ride later in the day too.
Yeah, okay, well, let's move on then. Rousing Encore is a massive price, but like I say, just watch that back in the Members Club view. As you can see him staying on, and Tom knows how to win the race with Tyber Flow last year, of course. Let's move on then to the Rayyan Stakes. It's the Aston Park Stakes. I'm looking down because I always need to know what it's called these days. It's a Group 3. The Haggis stable goes for a hat trick, and he's back. The classy Garci, as we call him. What on earth happened in the Ebor? I mean, I'm still counting my cost, I think, with that, Tom. We haven't seen him since.
Yeah, look, the Ebor just the ground definitely wasn't ideal for him that day. It's a busy race, and if you're struggling to travel and get going, everything can just sort of fall apart pretty early. So I think he had a tough enough day that day, and look, up until that point he was extremely progressive, and I think you can forgive anyone for one off day, and that was his. So look, certainly wouldn't have knocked my confidence in the horse, and looking forward to seeing him come back out because, as I say, he was progressive up to that point, and look, Sheikh Ahmed horses and William Haggis go hand in hand, so I think it's fair to say he'll have kept his hands on this horse for a good reason.
Yeah, Tom won the race last year for William on Ilarad, if you can't remember. And again, so first two races, you've got a bit of pressure off because the boys in blue have got both the short price favourites in that Yabir in the second. However, we get to the London Gold Cup, and there might just be, even on your brow, a little bead of sweat coming down because you ride the much anticipated return on Desert Crown. Handicap debut for His Majesty in the London Gold Cup. He's got entries all over the place. Could this yet be a bit of a flyer for the Derby? There are horses in here that are entered for the Derby. We see them go on and winning group races after group race, Imperial Aviator, Time Test. Crucially, Tom, you're in stall 3.
Yeah, look, obviously, when he won his novice up at Haydock, we got extremely excited about him, and he obviously then had to back up again. Went to Sandown, things didn't quite go to plan with him, and look, he's remained a horse to sort of stay pretty excited about. I think it's a pretty hot race, but as you say, drawn well. Hopefully, it gives us a chance to get a good spin round and. Look, I've not sat on him this year yet, but I'm sure people in the know will have. So yeah, he's an exciting horse, and look, everybody wants to find a good horse for the King and Queen now, and look, hopefully this is one of them.
Yeah, and I've preempted success at Epsom by calling him Desert Crown. So there you go. It's actually Desert Hero, of course. Look, the omens are on the wall. This is Tom's chance to go one better than Khalifa sat a couple of years ago. Well, look, Tom, like I say, I'm sure he's going to be gambled on. Loads of people will be going to Newbury for the Lockinge, of course, which we're going to talk about next. But he's going to be a strongly fancied horse, and we wish you well with him. I could see on your face that I think you're quite excited about that. How excited are we about the return of My Prospero, who goes in the Lockinge then, a horse that we are expecting big things of? I used to joke with William whenever I got the chance to talk to him, where's the next Baaeed coming from? This chap was sort of on the periphery. You're thinking this could be his year. He obviously didn't run at Ascot in an intended return.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited for him. I don't know, for whatever reason, he has obviously shown to an extremely high level of form, but to me, it just feels like we haven't seen anywhere near his best yet. So, I mean, if I'm right, I mean, it sort of leaves you looking forward to what might be. You know, he ran some absolute super races last year. Didn't have the cleanest that runs through because. Obviously slipped after the line in France, and it just halted everything a bit. So I'm looking forward to having him back and get a run under his belt. Obviously in the Lockinge, you know, being realistic, I think the trip is inadequate, but with these good horses, you're not thinking about one day, you're thinking about a whole season, and look. Yeah, realistically, on his best form, he might still be good enough to win anyway, and I hope he is. So, yeah, he's an extremely exciting horse for the season, and one that I've been really, really looking forward to seeing back.
Yeah, there will of course be comparisons because Baaeed took the Lockinge, as we remember, viewers, on his return, and this guy finished ahead of him when Baaeed signed off. So with a cracking third in that Champion Stakes, all to come. There's a bit of rain on Friday, it looks like, doesn't it, in the area? All right, we'll move on from that one. Again, you got a full book, Tom, in the 4:10, which is a 1 mile handicap, which again looks like a bit of a route to the Hunt Cup and stuff. You've got the very interesting Beringer for Alan King, of course, who supplied you with that royal success.
Yeah, it looks an extremely solid ride to have. Alan's horse has been going really well, and as you say, it's the route into Ascot, and Alan's no stranger to Royal Ascot success. So hopefully that's a good line to take, and he's a solid performer, and hopefully. I guess hopefully the tiny bit of rain might come for him. On previous form, he's had a few good runs on, a little bit slower. So, as I say, hopefully that's.
All right, okay, yeah, and again, he was fourth in the race last year. I haven't seen him since. It looks interesting that he's making his return. He's very well handicapped off a mark of 90s. We've got a race post rating of 109, so if he's ready to go, you have to imagine Alan's got him there or thereabouts. Let's move on to the listed stakes, and it's the Harris de Bouquet Fillies Trial. Again, you can see something throw their hat into the ring for the Oaks here, and you're on Crack of Light, a turf debutant.
Yeah, actually, I jumped on her the other morning, and look, she's one of those fillies that now she's sort of obviously being owned by Mr. Oppenheimer. You kind of she's in that limbo period now. She's obviously won a novice. She's gone really nicely, looks good, and is now trying to make that jump into stakes company. So it's the next logical step on her career path, and. Look, she went well the other morning. I don't think she's ever going to be a filly that's going to absolutely blow socks off. She never has, and realistically, if she did, you might almost think something's wrong. So look, she looks extremely well. She felt extremely well, and she's not done anything wrong yet. So I think you have to go in there with full confidence in stepping up in grade and stepping into stakes company.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful pedigree, and wouldn't be surprised to see her, absolutely step up. All right, that's your penultimate ride. We are going through the card, Tom, and if you've not had a winner by the last, which will probably be surprising, but Popmaster will be the one to carry you over the line, and us. And it's fair to say it's been a little, way between drinks between this chap. You rode him on his return, didn't you? And he just is a horse that's very hard to catch right these days.
Yeah, look, he's a pretty talented horse. He showed that at Ascot. And just got beat by Rohan on him. And look, I guess for him the negative would be if the rain came. It avoided background the other week for him. So, but his reappearance run was a solid one at that, and we were happy with him. But he's not the easiest to land everything right just because of how he is. So, we know he's got the engine in there, and if things go right, he can definitely get his head in front in a race like this. But it's just having all the sort of ducks aligned as such. So, look, hopefully Ed's horses are obviously going well over the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure he'll have him in tip-top order, and he avoided the background the other day just because it was a waste of a run. So, hopefully it doesn't come too hard. And soften the ground right up for him.
He's £3 lower than when last winning, and in fairness to him, he has danced some of the big handicap dances, hasn't he? And he hasn't got any relenting. It's happening now, and this is a drop in grade, so certainly not a full-on hope there. Tom, you're going through the card. You've gone through your What a Shout debut. It's been an absolute pleasure for us to have you on. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, he's laughing because he got through it without too many curveballs coming. Tom Marquand, what a star. An absolute treat then to have Tom Marquand with us. Big weekend coming up. All your fancied runners that you might be pinning your hopes on with Tom. Hopefully you got the line then. Great to talk to him about his career and what might still be to come, of course. He really is a good talker. Let's have a look at one of the races that he mentioned, and it's a full book for Tom. We're going to give you 4 at Newbury and 1 at Newmarket as well. And we kick off in the listed Carnarvon Stakes, as I mentioned to Tom. This is usually is a Coronation Cup trial at next month's Royal Ascot, but in its own right, it's a decent sprint. And, this is going to be one of the pivotal horses for punters all throughout the weekend. It's Noble Style. Didn't quite get home in the Guineas, did he? We'll see about that. Esot's Fables. Yeah, the big stables there. Shaquille graduating out of handicap company all the way down to Lady Hamana there. Interesting market. Robbie Wilders, let's come to you now.
Yeah.
I don't want to dig you out about this.
I've got to dig me out. I was waiting for this.
Because I see Noble Style is going back sprinting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure they'd necessarily do that. I'd have given another chance over a mile.
Well, you're hoping because you anti-postmaned him for the St James's Palace.
I postmaned him up. It's obviously bad news to see him enter over 6, isn't it? But
it's that time of the year, though, isn't it, where you're guessing.
I think they're trying to figure out, because I could see him finishing strongly here and then going back up to a mile. He didn't really fade out of it too much at the Guineas. It was soft ground as well. He'd never been on ground.
You're basically punting out. He's a Jersey horse. He's not quite.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would make more sense. But the Jersey's just less sexy than the other two because it's obviously not a Group 1.
What's going to beat him then?
I think Aesop's Fables will beat him.
You think Aidan will kick off the
I think that's a gorgeous scumbag each way bet. Well, it's the Dewhurst form, which is looking strong in it. Obviously, with Royal Scotsman, Chaldean and Isaac Shelby. He was 4th in that, but he didn't really stay 7 that day. He looks like a sprinter to me. His comeback run, I know he's been beaten 6 lengths, but he was given £10 to a horse that looks potentially top class, I think, in Ocean Quest. And he doesn't seem to really handle a cut in the ground. So I think this is the perfect sort of race for him. I think these are probably his ideal conditions since he ran the Curragh winning the Group 2 Futurity. He's rated 110. He's better than the rest of them. If he beats Noble Style, then he'll win. And I think, he's an each-way price at 9-2, so he'll do me.
I think Rousing Encore is quite interesting, who we talked to Tom Marquand about. And, he said, I don't usually ride for Richard Fowey. In fact, he's only ever had one before for Richard, he said. Again, look back at that Ascot comeback onto turf. And he didn't stand a mile at Newcastle. It's just where this is a bit sharp for him. I think at a price, he could be quite interesting. But Kills, surely we're looking at gift horse in the mouth here, aren't we?
I came to the conclusion that Noble Style was a good thing. Go and have a look at that Guineas. He just tugs and tugs and tugs. He wants to go faster. It's simple as that. He's from a fast family. Eartha Kitt was a fast sprinter, wasn't she? He's going to be a sprinter. He will run in the Commonwealth Cup. Can't see him going anywhere else, and I can't really see him getting beaten here. You see the way he picked up and finished when he won the gym track last year. He looked exceptional that day, and I think he's going to be an out-and-out sprinter. I actually thought Shaquille might be the danger for Julie Camacho. It's just a horse that's really, really on a roll and improving. And I quite like Washington Heights as a horse to run her up to him last time, but she left him for dead. He left him for dead, winning quite easily at Newmarket. I think the ground will be fine for him. But Noble Style, it's all about Noble Style for me. He'll win.
Do you think he can go on and take the Commonwealth Cup? I mean, he's that sort of colour. He's got that class about him, hasn't he?
Oh yeah. I think he's a proper classy horse. I think it's just a typical case of not staying a mile. Simple as that. He just tugged and tugged and tugged. But he didn't. Like Robbie said, he didn't drop right out of it. But I think that's down to his class. He didn't get home, but I think he's got a lot of class, and he will outclass these.
Okay, I'm with Keels as well. I think that York run, when you go back to when he won at York, how on earth he won that, I don't know. And the money for him in the Guineas before he got sunk there, I think shows what sort of class he's got. Let's move on, shall we, to the 225. We go right up in distance here. It's the Aston Park Stakes, the Al Rayyan. It's a Group 3. Let's have a look at the market. Get it up, because we're going to see another Godolphin hot pot here for you. The returning Ibir, who, let's face it, is a bit of a globetrotter. And we mainly see him over a mile 4 these days. But then you could say that, as the panellists are about to say, about most of the other field. In fact, is it all of the field that perhaps want a little bit further than this? Haskoy, of course, last saw her in the St Ledger when she got demoted. She is interesting. Isra, we didn't see him at Chester. Was he going to go the Cup? Was he going to go for the Huxley Stakes? Kamari, who looks like he might be the hare in the pack for Ibir. Bolshoi Ballet. Garci returning, of course, and Old Harrovian as well. Keels, I'm going to come to you here. Again, punters will just be going to Newbury on Saturday. In fact, all televised punters, and they'll be thinking, this is a nice, easy double, is it?
Well, it's not that easy, is it? I mean, you look at Ibir. I know he's won 7 times, but I mean, he's not the most trustworthy horse in the world, is he? He got beat at the 4s on and just over 2s on last year, didn't he? In races, I know they were good races, but even so, he can be a bit in and out. He has been beaten first time out every time he's run. Admittedly, he's run some decent races when he has, but I couldn't say I trust him at even money. He's not for me. I've said that Frankie Dettori, we're going to see loads of flying dismounts from him this season in his last year, aren't we? And I think we might have another one here with Haskoy. I think she just didn't quite stay in the ledger. You got to remember she was second. She was demoted to 4th. That was just the third run of her life. She's obviously, got that black type, and there's no reason, she's still in training. She's only had 3 runs in her life. She's the least exposed and the most likely to improve past them, and I think she will.
All right, so a flying dismount for Keels. Now, Keels has touched on probably what we thought about Hascott, I think. Now, I don't know about you. I've done exactly what Keels has done. I put a line through your beer because I don't trust him. Don't trust him first time out. Yeah. Class angle, obviously, and we've seen some of these Godolphin horses, Hurricane Lane in particular, get stuff. But of course, had the old one first time out, all that sort of stuff. Look, I just went your beer, okay, line through. Now, who am I going to go for? Hascott. The reason why I went against her, and Keels will be listening to this, first time tongue tie, and her only entry at the moment going forward is the Ascot Gold Cup.
That's the exact reason why I was put off by it.
He ran Scope in this race last year, the ill-fated Scope, who would have gone to the Gold Cup. Does this look like a bit of a trial for the big end? Let's face it, the Gold Cup's looking wide open, isn't
That's really strange that she's not been in stuff like the Hardwick or...
Coronation Cup.
Yeah, the Coronation Cup, races that I suppose you've got Westover for that. But
yes, true.
I don't know. Yeah, I was put off. Keels made quite a nice case there, to be fair, but I was thinking...
Well, she first could well be the best of them.
Oh, yeah, I thought Israel was interesting.
Yes, so did I.
RPR 114 when he bolted up in that
London
handicap
Gold Cup winner on this day last year.
Very much so, yeah. So he's got the course form. He's going to be ready to run. He's meant to run at Chester, wasn't he? In the bloody Ormond Stakes.
In the Ormond Stakes, I said
he's
Huxley,
not got any.
Right. It's just the Ormond Stakes. It's not the.
No, Huxley's a short one.
You don't have to swear about the race.
Certainly not. He's got no future entries though.
He doesn't. I know that kind of makes you weird.
You thought he'd have a Hardwick entry at least.
And you would think he'd be a Hardwick horse, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. I thought Ghazi could have been a bit shorter at the opening prices.
We have done the exact same worrying deduction to get to Ghazi.
Yeah, but it is one of those races where like any of 5 or 6 wouldn't really surprise you. But progressive horse. He's got a good record, fresh.
Yeah.
Didn't go right from in the Ebor, but back down to mile 4.
They have gelded him. This is a
gelded,
Fox's Tails plot. This.
They're retaining him. I'm sure they'll probably have bigger races in mind. I know a lot of these will, but sort of a process of elimination thing. It wouldn't be a strong one. A really interesting race, but I don't think anyone could go in with a really bullish opinion.
So we're going to learn a lot about this. We're not that keen on their beer, basically. All right, let's move on because Newmarket joins the party now. We're still on the old Rolling Mile, of course, and a really interesting and informative 3-year-old sprint handicap takes place at 2:40. Let's get it up. The market is headed by... Drum roll, please. Ooh, Joints, Eminency. These are best available odds at the time of filming, guys. Revenite, whose Ascot winners worked out particularly well for Roger Varian. Expert Agent comes there on an absolute roll. Washington Heights, already mentioned by Keels. Ararat, this is a really good race, Keels, isn't it? And we've seen the likes of Jumbie winning this in previous years. He takes in the Lockinge now. You can get a real classy one here.
You certainly can do. And, if there is one, it probably is the top 2 in the betting, isn't it? Eminency, who got in all sorts of trouble at Kempton last time, and Revenite, who's on a hat trick. But I do like Washington Heights. I think he's been running on the wrong ground so far this season. First 5 furlongs at first, which is probably a bit on the short side for him. And then went second to Shaquille, who was up against Noble Style and third favourite in the Carnarvon. Yes, he was well beaten then, but he's got a handicap mark of 89, which I think is very fair. You go back to his pick of his T-roll form on decent form. He's beaten ahead by Should Have Been a Ring off levels. He's getting something like £13 off that one now, or he would have been if he'd stayed in the race. And I think it's third to Cold Case as well in the 2-year-old listed trophy. Cold Case has obviously come out and shown how good he is this season, up to a rating of 108. So I think Washington Heights is perfectly well handicapped, back on the ground he likes. And I think it's a good each way play against the favourites.
That is interesting. Kevin Ryan's horses are obviously warming up at York, unsurprisingly as well. Eminency, you might remember, viewers, a couple of weeks back, I napped only for the ground to go against him on Guineas weekend. I'm not going to desert him now. Revenite is interesting, isn't he? Because that has worked out well, that Ascot run. He followed up, of course, on the all-weather. He's now gone to King Power. He made 200 grand. I suppose if there's a group horse in here, obviously it might be him. But I think first time out against Eminency, who had a horrible run, as Gil mentioned on the all-weather. If Eminency, this is his big chance.
Oh, I'd hope he makes no mistake here. He's off the same marks at Kempton, but I mean, it went wrong for him at the start and the end. When coming out the gates, the horse to his left just completely wiped
Boshed
him
him.
out. He boshed him, man.
Bashed him.
And then he didn't get a run in the last furlong. He showed like the best horse that day. He's off the same rating. Clive Cox won it last year with Harry Free. Who ended up not beating far on the Maurice de Guiche later in the season. I'm not saying he's going to do that. He's rated 86, but I can tell you that he is pretty well handicapped off that mark.
Yeah, they've got the ground for him this time, and John Farhy will do the steering. 2 interesting shots then. And your Newmarket preview. Let's get back to Newbury. 2 more coming your way. And it is the London Gold Cup. And I say this with a great smile because pundits in particular absolutely relish having a go at this. And I know you punters do out there as well. We see group horses, as I said to Tom. We spoke to him about Desert Hero. I Freudianly called it Desert Crown.
It happens, mate, yeah.
It does happen. And
when you look at horses every day,
it just
you're going to
happens,
get your tongue tied.
But I said, could he yet be a flyer for the Derby? We've got Exoplanet in there as well, of course, who's got some interesting course form. Keels, again, I'm going to come to you here because your followers would have seen that you put up a 2-point win on Desert Hero. You must have been thrilled when you saw Stall 3 come out.
Yeah, certainly not moaning about it, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one of these competitive races, but it's always a very good race. It tends to throw up group horses year in, year out, doesn't it? I mean, Baaeed won it 2 years ago. He won the Champion Stakes last year. We've had the likes of Communique, Defoe, Time Test, and the likes, and we've had really good horses beaten in it a few years ago. A Dubai World Cup winner was beaten by a Melbourne Cup winner, subsequently. So there are a few horses in here with group entries. Desert Hero is one of them, and I just thought he's interesting because the only proper race that the handicapper's got to work on is his 3rd of 6 in the Solario last year, when he was so keen and greedy, he just couldn't have given his best. And obviously he didn't have to do anything to beat a load of rubbish at Redcar next time, odds of 1 to 7. So he comes in here very unexposed. He's got the King Edward the 7th entry, and he's going to have to be £15-20 better than his current mark of 94 if he's to live up to that. William Haggis doesn't throw his entries away. His last runner in this was Sinjari 3 years ago. Yeah. Managed to get beat a short head by Headman, and again in another very good race before he won the John Smith's Cup the following year, didn't he? So I'd imagine he's very useful. It doesn't mean that the likes of Exoplanet, Bertinelli, 2 others that with the entries aren't going to be very useful as well, but they are giving him weight. So yeah, I like him. I may have a couple of quid each way on Cool Party at a massive price for Charlie Johnston. He's had some very good horses beaten in this over the years, the Johnston Yard. And I just don't think Soft Brown was in any way suited him at Newmarket last time, and he looked like one of those horses they could have a bit of fun with, stepping up in trip and going up the handicaps with. So I keep an eye on him at a big price, but I think Desert Hero is very much the one to beat. Yeah,
I'd echo those sentiments, Kills. I had a good look at him as well when I was looking down the price, and I thought he might just get rolling, and you're right, he's a Scopy horse, isn't he? When the draw came out, Exoplanet, I thought Exoplanet might potentially be a bit quick in the final 2 furlongs when I was envisaging how this might work out for Desert Hero, who looks like the further he goes on pedigree, the better for him. Bertinelli's a big old boy, and Bold Act as well. And Royal Rhyme I thought was interesting as well. But Stall 16, Jack Mitchell is really going to have his work cut out. He's a course winner, of course, on his debut. I think they really like him. He's coming back into handicap. It's enough to put me off. I'm with Bertinelli.
Yes,
I think Aidan O'Brien. I don't think that form at Cork is bad at all. The horse that beat him went really well at Chester on ground that probably didn't suit last week. Behind San Antonio, was it the D Stakes, I think? He's a big boy, this lad. If Ryan Moore tucks him in, I don't think he'll mind what the ground does.
Unusual move for O'Brien to race one in
I can't remember the last time. Can you remember last time O'Brien has Aidan had a runner in this, Keels?
I can't remember it. I did have a look the other day and I couldn't see any. So,
yeah.
But he's got so many potential Derby horses. You've got to run him somewhere. And if you've got one with a mark below 100, why not go in a valuable handicap? Makes sense.
Yeah, and of course they're coming over for the Lockinge, which we're about to do. But you put one up at the start of the week.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this race, you're trying to think of like group horses. You're looking at all the entries, the King Edwards and stuff. I thought that the one that was missed slightly in the market at the start was Silver Sword. I like this trainer, Dylan Cunha, South African trainer, come over this season, done really well, 5 from 14. Greg Shane, South African jockey, 2 from 3 in Britain. This horse has been jocked up throughout the week. He's a quirky enough sort at the start of his career. He refused to race twice, but since he's fitted with a hood, he's completely turned it around. He wasn't beaten that far by military order on his, well, technically his first start was his 3rd, but the other 2 can draw a line through, in a Newmarket novice. And then he's run really well behind Empress Wu at Lingfield off a sort of troubled run. I know Empress Wu didn't frank the form in the Musadora. I was hoping to see a bit more from her. But the next time he dropped to a mile and 1 easily. He's off bottom weight. I think he's probably on a pretty decent mark. And the step up to 1 mile 2 again is going to be fine for him. His dam was a proper 2 miler.
Yeah.
So I thought he was the one. I think he's probably more fairly priced now. I think I'll probably, even with the draw, like wide draws, we've won this a couple of times recently. I think if Chess Piece wins at York today, as in Friday, I'd be a bit more interested in Exoplanet because that's the military order form coming in again.
Yes, it is.
But Desert Hero is very interesting as well. Bertinelli's, it's just a great race. I was just trying to see if there was one that might have been missed at the bottom of the weights, and if it is one, it could have been Silver Sword.
Oh, he's made a great start this year, Dylan Cunha, hasn't he? And this would be a proper feather in his cap then. All right, that's the London Gold Cup. What a treat. Do not miss that at 3 o'clock. That will be, as the dust is settling, time for the riders to get jocked up in the 3:35 in his Group 1 action. It is the Lockinge. Baaeed, of course, started on his merry roll, of course, in this last year. Let's get the market up and see who heads it now. And another favourite for Godolphin, Modern Games. Beaten on his return last time out in the States, but he has got the form to take this out. Unlike Laurel, who's got to step up, but she looks a beast, doesn't she, for John and Thady Gosden. My Prospero, we heard from Tom, you saw the smile. Mutasabek, what a different revelation he has been since they chucked on some headgear and went from the front. Jadumi, lightly pace angle, light infantry, very talented. What a race. And I said that, of course, it's the battalion coming over for the Lockinge. Ain't no brothers never run her in this.
No,
That's
quite strange. You normally
remarkable.
would have one, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
But it's a right up to scratch race, I'd say.
Okay.
Mutasabek is obviously interesting, but I don't know if he's going to get the race one to suit this time. I think he likes to dictate in a small field. He's going to have Jadumi up there pestering him.
He slammed Native Trail on his
return. Yeah, he did, but he won that race in the first furlong, really, if you watch it back.
Okay.
I thought light infantry, I'm not going to give up hope. I put him up anti-post quite a while ago. He's £3 worse off with Mutasabek, but this is a completely different sort of field. He's going to get a strong pace jam up from the back.
Yeah.
He was finishing quickly at Newmarket. He was unlucky not to get Native Trail for second. He's going to be fitter. No worries on the ground. He's a proper Group 1 horse. He should definitely be single figures. And he's double figures, and you get in 4 places. And that run should have brought him forward. I know Simcock was stressing that he wanted to get a run into him before
He's got business in this race, and he Lightning Spear, of course, who probably should have beaten Rhododendron. Yeah.
So I think there's plenty to like. He's still one of the most likely race runners in the field as well. Group 1 horse, 10 to 1, 11 to 1, nothing not to like.
Yeah, he's a big prize, Kills. I know you like him. No Inspiral, of course. She hasn't made it, but this chap very nearly beat her. He'll do for you?
He did, yeah. Just replay what Robbie said. He's got it bang on as far as I'm concerned. It is. The maker's shape of this race is going to suit him an awful lot better. We know what Mutasabek is, unless the blinkers really have rejuvenated him and revitalised him and turned him into something else. He's a small field bully, and he's going to have Jadumi, not just Jadumi, but possibly Chindit, and almost certainly the rank outside of the Wizard of Eye who likes to get on with it. And there are a couple of others that race forward as well without necessarily wanting to make it. So there's going to be pace pressure. It's going to be perfect for light infantry. His best run last year, again, it was a strong run race in France, beating a neck by Inspiral. And I think that shows that that's what he wants. He does want a strong run race at a mile because that was actually, although they said it was good to soft ground, it certainly wasn't because that was the third fastest Jacques Lamara in this century. A faster time than any of the last 10 Lockinges, some of which have been run on good to firm ground. I know they're different tracks, but let me tell you that it was quick ground out there. So I know he's got some good form on soft ground as well, but he's got no issues with the surface. And it's just going to play out really well for him. If they don't get away from him and he's finishing strongly, I think he's got a cracking chance, as Robbie said. And if you can get 4 places, and you can do in a few places, can't you?
Yeah.
I think you've just got to back him.
It is very hard to see him out of the top 4 if that plays out. And you're right, when the draw came out, you've got Jadumi and Mutasabek. Mutasabek has now got the form, of course, to win this, but you are right. Getting an easy lead here, I mean, we're not quite going bully, I'm not sure, but you are right, there is a lot of pace pressure. What about Laurel, chaps? What do we just think about Laurel? Because we know that Racing Twitter loves Laurel. Kills come to you on this, you just line through.
No, definitely not a line through. No, she's potentially very good, isn't she? I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's just that she's priced as though she's already is. And I always tend to leave those ones alone. Wouldn't be surprised me at all if she proved good enough. It was only the third start of her life, and she was second in the Sun Chariot last year. Now, I don't think that was the strongest fillies and mares Group 1 because, obviously the favourite Saffron Beach blew right out, and so did second favourite Homeless Songs. But she's come out, won very easily, admittedly entitled to, and she's only run 4 times, so is entitled to improve again. So she might not be far away. I wouldn't back her at the price, but I certainly wouldn't rule her out winning.
The word is she's been catching pigeons, of course, at Clarehaven, but in Keel's household, she's been catching budgerigars as well. Your budgie absolutely all over Laurel then. If you believe in these things, it's going to happen on Saturday. I think the My Prospero, guys, is the rock solid one. He's got the best form in the race. I think that Champion Stakes just gives him the nod. And this has always been his year. No, I'm having it. This is it. We've cut. Did you hear that? We just cut him off there as well. It was fantastic.
Yeah, just cut me off.
Cut him off. No more budgerigars. He's probably got a dog barking. Tom was absolutely purring about this chap. Yes, he might be. No, Tom Marquand.
Oh, sorry, sorry, Tom.
In his interview, he was absolutely licking his lips at the prospect of getting back on this bloke. He might yet be a Prince of Wales horse, but I think that he's got some pace to him, and he's going to go really close. A little bit.
I just couldn't have him as half the price of light infantry, though.
I get the light infantry thing. All right. Are you on the brigade as well? Let us know below. Right then. Scroll a lot, some of you do, to this nap section. But before we give you our weekend treble, our highest hopes, check this out. It's the flat. It's back. Stick with us this summer. There you go then. It's back. All the content coming your way. If you're not excited about this flat summer, something wrong with you. Stick with us here on the Racing Post media sites and the website itself, Members Club. Right. Without further ado, I think this has got a right old chance, this treble, and I'm giving Eminency another chance. He wins the 240 at Newmarket. Approved.
I also think it's got a right chance. I'm having, in the Lockinge 335 Newbury light infantry for my selection.
All right, and sandwiching the selections is Kills.
Yeah, in between those two, a London Gold Cup Desert Hero for William Haggis and young Tom Marquand.
Oh, I love it. I can hear you all getting excited out there for that one. All right, there's your weekend naps. Trixie, treble, call them what you want. We love them. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for on this weekend's What a Shout. Thank you for joining us. Okay, before we give you a little bit of housekeeping, remember, so much racing coming up your way. It's flat season, and we've got jumps as well. French action. Do remember, responsible gambling, please. That's the MO here at the Racing Post. If you would like to sign up and get involved and see what we're talking about a little bit more with the Members Club, here's your chance. Stay ahead of the field with the Racing Post and the Members Club section there. The boys are loving it. I've loved having Robbie Wilders with me.
Good to be back, mate. 3 in a row. Am I on next week as well?
Yeah, possibly. Very possible.
Whatever, yeah. I'll turn up, mate.
Yeah, listen,
say a few things.
We love having you, as do the viewers as well. Good luck with that Dylan Cunha project in the London Gold Cup.
Fingers crossed. Good luck with the Eminency one as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good luck, Kills, with all your selections, including His Majesty's.
Yes, thank you very much, mate. Sure it'll go well.
I do hope you feel a little bit better next week, Kills, as well. We'll be seeing you next week, won't we?
I'll be fine.
Of course you will be, man. Of course you will be. His wife is actually a nurse, so he's going to be totally fine. Don't worry about it. All right, okay. That's all we got time for. All that sport out there this weekend. Stick with us here at the Racing Post. And what a shout. From Dave Orton, enjoy.